Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome here. Come on in. Come on in. Take a seat. I am back from Chicago. Sweet home, Chicago. Back early as we are now entering into day 3 of the Democratic National Convention. We have the headliners showing up. That, of course, is Kamala Harris on Thursday. And tonight's big main event, Tim Walz, the vice presidential nominee. I was there for night 1. I was not there for night 2. Came back yesterday because my wife is in the final 2 weeks of pregnancy. And so, just wanted to be there. I think I've told this before, but I will say this. The referee, as I've never gone through this before, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are multiple term parents, been through the process. We have not. This is my wife's first baby. And the final trimester is a, delicate process. A lot of things are happening. Your body is literally growing a human and also beginning the process of ejecting that human, right? So there's just a lot of stuff happening. And so the way that I thought, and this was kind of unspoken, but the best way to handle any kind of questions, especially with my obligations to you, the listener, the viewer, was to put it in the hands of our doctor, who we like, our OB. And so me going to Milwaukee, she's like, okay, that makes sense. Be on guard, but obviously that makes sense. I went to go help our friend Darren Kitchen out in Vegas. Makes sense. Keep it tight. I left on a Thursday night, came back on a Saturday afternoon. Did not stay for the whole DEF CON run. And then we have the DNC. So I went out Saturday, did the We're Not Wrong live show on Sunday, went to the DNC on Monday, got an episode out of it. And then considering the next episode would likely be on Friday, it would be me breaking down the Kamala speech. When I told her it's going to be Saturday to Thursday, she's like, oh. I'm like, or it could be shorter. What if I left on Tuesday? So she was like, okay. So trust me, it pains me that I was not there. Lil Jon was there. I would have loved to see Lil Jon. I'll get into the DNC roll call. I didn't think that there was a tremendous amount speech-wise of the clips that I've seen. I have not watched all of it. I will tell you that. I was doing great night, and then I came back, and it was like the first time that I could sit down and actually spend time with my wife. So I did not immediately make my way to C-SPAN. But I do have thoughts. I've got meta thoughts about the triumph of populism culture, the death of political austerity. On the same 24-hour cycle, we see Lil Jon, a man whose music was popularized at strip clubs. I love Lil Jon. I love strip clubs. But that is interesting, right? Interesting. The representative of the swing state of Georgia, Lil Jon. And then both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are on Theo Vaughn. And the clip I saw this morning of Theo Vaughn and Donald Trump was talking about cocaine use. Can you imagine Bob Dole bowing and scraping to somebody like Theo Vaughn, who is huge, right? I'm not discounting Theo Vaughn. I'm just saying that like anyone other than a top tier media outlet wouldn't get those interviews, let alone not have a flack jump right in the middle and say, no, please stop talking about coke. Everybody who listened to Lil Jon in their 20s are now in politics. Everyone? Everyone who listened to Yeah? They're all in politics? That's a lot of people. That was the number one hit. I mean, it is true that like Lil Jon's heyday was when I was in college. I was indeed but a fresh-faced youth pointing from the window to the wall. Well, all right. So I let me say this. The roll call was very fun. Very, very fun. I do think that there is a room for evolution to the entirety of the convention. And this is meta, right? This is not necessarily about the Democrats or the Republicans, but like there is what that used to be, the convention used to be. It has not been that for many, many years, right? And so then it kind of became a parody of that, but then we really revered the parody. And so that became the new blueprint, the fake version of the old convention. So the old convention was an actual fight to see who the nominee was going to be. Then the primary system comes in the 70s and is solidified in the 70s. So then by the time the 80s come around, you're reshaping the convention so they're like a kind of fake version of it that still has some of the trappings, but it's mostly there for television and mostly there for live television. And so that's where you get the speeches, primetime speeches. So now we're moving out of a world where live television in the way that you would imagine broadcasting into those windows really exist. So I do think that there is an evolution. The medium is the message. Some things never die, like politicians running over their time because they really want to be in front of a hot crowd, which is apparently why Joe Biden was speaking until after midnight on Monday. So this is not a criticism of trying to reimagine the conventions. I think from that perspective, the roll call was great. Awesome. I will only say this, and I do feel like I have the ability to say this because I have been bitching about this every step of the way. If you've listened to me for long enough, you know that from the earliest, in fact, I might have been the person that told you that any of this was happening at all. And that is the Democratic Party's serial disrespect of the primary process. And I'm not talking about Kamala. Go back. I'm talking about Biden changing the schedule. I'm talking about the Democrats then fucking up with the schedule and Dean Phillips running, so they have to heat ray Dean Phillips and actually wound up putting people in New Hampshire so they can run Joe Biden in a write-in campaign. So they wind up having to activate that element anyway because they don't actually have convictions in the idea that the Democratic voters are going to follow along. Then Joe Biden gets the primary votes. Then we have Joe Biden dropping out. And before all of that, actually, no, I skipped a step. Then you have this whole voice vote thing that was done to mitigate somebody doing stuff on the floor during the convention in support of Gaza. The fig leaf on that is the Ohio thing. That wasn't really the case. Then the voice vote becomes, oh, well, they're trying to jam Biden down our throats. Then Biden leaves and they still do the voice vote. So not only is the roll call a parody of a thing that used to mean something, it's now a parody of that parody of something that used to mean something. So only because I have been bitching about this with the Democrats and the primary for over a year, I will say that as much fun as that was, there was an element to me of like, oh, like, is this getting an ice cream because my dad got mad and hit me? Like, how happy should I be with this ice cream? Like, is it celebrating so we forget bad behavior? That's all right. And that's where I'll stop. I won't go long on this. That was just the only thing that I want to say. And I do feel like it is not me just being a party pooper, because I have been very consistent in this for over a year. So anyway. The Iowa primary tabulating a lot from hell. Yeah, the one that the National Party mandated the Iowa Party take up. Don't get me started. I'm an Iowa defender. Hopefully they go back to Iowa. That's all I'm saying. Spin dash. Is it bad behavior when the Democratic Party listens to the population of kicking Joe out? Who said that? Who said that was bad behavior? Are you inventing? Is that a straw? Is that a straw streamer that you're yelling at? It's not me. I've been consistent on that too. I mean, like, let's just come on, guys. I know. Look, we're gonna have to keep it together. I know we got to keep it together. We got to keep it together, man, for the next 80 plus days. We got to keep it together. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. No, I didn't, Spin Dash. I didn't say that taking Joe off the ticket was usurping the democratic process. I said Joe Biden adjusting the primary calendar and then having to redouble their efforts because they couldn't get their shit together with New Hampshire was meddling with the primary process. Everything else that happened after that is fruit of the poison tree, and we got a lot of fruit. Like, again, if you didn't adjust the primary process, then you probably would have run into the same problems that eventually bubbled up with Joe Biden earlier. If you just would have listened to me, that shit would have happened earlier. But no, it had to happen later. No. Jesus Christ. Good Lord. Come on. It's me. Like, Spin, you're in here all the time. You think I'm going to start randomly complaining about Joe Biden leaving the race? The biggest thing I was surprised with on that was that he did it. Yeah, great Tipper Gore's ghost for Lil Jon. All right, all right. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. What's your gut feeling on the polls bumping Harris more after the convention? All right, so the big question really that you have to ask is, did Santa bring it early for Kamala Harris, meaning her convention bounce? Did all of the excitement and press around her getting the top of the ticket, Joe Biden dropping out, did that essentially just payday loan her convention bounce polling wise early? I don't know if she were to get more of a bounce from here, it would probably put her around where Joe Biden was polling in 2020. Right now, she is polling behind both Biden and Clinton. She is ahead, but essentially this is just a toss-up race throughout the map. So good for her that she has rescued the Democrats from the pit of despair, at least in the Sun Belt for sure. It does appear that she is kind of equalized in the Rust Belt, which is also good for her because, you know, one of the thoughts, and we'll see as we actually get closer, was that she would not do well with older voters and she wouldn't do well with whiter voters that Joe Biden did really speak to. And that's why the Rust Belt polls, even as Joe Biden dropped out, were still pretty close. And so Kamala is running well in the Rust Belt and has now tightened up the Sun Belt. Sun Belt being loosely defined as Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, which is now back in play. I don't know. I don't know whether or not she is going to get a convention bounce. I will tell you that there are some people who think no, and those are the betting markets. The betting markets have weirdly tightened. Kamala took advantage in poly market. Let's take a look. So Trump is now back to being favored. And this really happened during the DNC, which, you know, you can see this is where Harris goes up on top. That's August 9th. And then they're kind of trading, they're dueling dragons back and forth. But today's the 21st, and Trump has now taken the prediction market lead. Now, I am not a huge take the prediction market like gospel kind of guy. I think there's a lot of dumb money in prediction markets. I think that prediction markets are at best looked at as popular weaponized consensus. And sometimes when you are looking at very specific insider decisions, maybe you should watch the prediction market spikes. But I don't think that you should look at them as like a wisdom of the crowds kind of thing, like some people do. So I don't really look at this number per se as like anything other than there is some money behind the idea that Kamala has already had her bounce, that we have seen that, and now we are seeing a reversion to the mean. It is not the wisdom of the crowds. I do not believe it's the wisdom of the crowds. And I think political betting odds, Stossel's market. You've seen a closing in this as well. Harris was up more. Now it's essentially predicted still has her up. So again, I don't look at that as anything other than there is a belief that there will not be another jump in Harris's polling. And here would be the reason why you would make that argument. That really Donald Trump has not gotten any more or less popular since Joe Biden dropped out. His vote share has remained pretty similar. What has changed is that Democrats have gotten a lot more excited, and they have unified. Will that hold for the next 70 so days? Maybe. We've talked about the smooth Kamala Harris, the very smooth Kamala Harris, and that is she will be more defined. She has to be more defined, and she is already defining herself more. What I find interesting is that it really does seem that her instincts are to run more to the left. Walz was a pig more to the left. Going in on corporate greed, very much more to the left. Granted, it's for the super wealthy, but introducing the concept of unrealized gains tax, 25% unrealized gains tax, that's to the left. There's like a 44%. Let me get this right. Oh, 44.6% capital gains tax. And as Spin Dash points out, $25,000 for first-time home buyers and $6,000 in child tax credit. That is, somebody pointed that out, that Kamala Harris not rolling out stuff allows her to do a +1 bet for anything that the Republicans say that's on the government spending side. And so JD Vance came out for a $5,000 child tax credit, and sure enough, they came out for a $6,000, which I think is pretty funny. So that would be outside of where I think the assumption was that she would try to run as a moderate. It does not sound, it sounds more like she is tilting more to the progressive base than she is the moderate base, and she is just assuming that the moderate base is going to come along because they hate Trump. That was the one thing of night one, and I've seen nothing about night two that dissuades me from this, is that when you change your ticket this late and you don't want to make this a referendum election on the past 4 years, you want to make this a choice election, you don't have a lot of options but to unite the party based on the hatred of your opponent. That's basic. Then let's add the context of Donald Trump has been the great Satan for the Democratic Party for 8 years. He's the great Satan when he won, great Satan when he lost. He is just the worst, the pits, duty, booty cheeks. They hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him. And that audience responded the biggest when people insulted in the highest octane terms or the most personal terms to Donald Trump. Wow, look at this. Literally in front of me, Donald Trump has taken the lead on betting odds. That just changed. I said on PX3 that if somebody from the stage said in the throes of a speech that the bullet should have hit him or should have hit closer, I think that would get a cheer from the crowd. Like, they hate that dude. Really, 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 really hate that dude. And it's what unites that party, because there are a lot of disparate elements of that party that are right now very tight together. And the reason why are two things: the buoying of Harris in the polls and the hatred of Donald Trump. That's it. That no matter what, you can look over and say, I don't agree with you. They had Bernie Sanders and J.B. Pritzker speak right next to each other. And Bernie Sanders did his, we need a class for working people and not for billionaires. Then J.B. Pritzker comes out and says, hey, Donald Trump's a fake billionaire. Take it from me, real billionaire. Those two don't get along about a lot. They get along about two things. They want Kamala Harris to win, and Donald Trump is an existential threat, and they hate him. They personally hate him. How much of the DNC is never Trumpers? I don't think, well, let's understand that the majority of the DNC are never Trumpers. Like, Democrats are never Trumpers, right? But if you're speaking of Republicans that can no longer vote for the Republican Party because they hate Trump personally, I don't think it's a large amount, but the critical worth of that group is that you are taking away a Republican vote. The people that the Republicans are trying to attract are those that believe that the Democrats are either A, going to wreck the economy, or have already wrecked the economy and now they're going to wreck it further, or B, have gone too far left, culture war shit. JDS, we haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing, buddy? Let's talk about RFK. Nicole Shanahan goes on a podcast yesterday and says we are looking at two different options, either starting a third party based on whatever we do in this election or dropping out right now and endorsing Donald Trump. So, back in 2016, the Libertarian ticket of Gary Johnson and Bill Weld ran in an election with two historically unpopular candidates. And instead of presenting a bold third option, Bill Weld in the final months of the election said, don't vote for us, vote for Hillary Clinton. Since then, I have called Bill Weld a man of low moral character because I believe that it is incumbent upon you, should you accept the role of a nominee, either in the president or the vice president, that it is incumbent upon you for donators and volunteers to go through with that. They did not nominate you so you could then decide, well, I'm going to have a wishy-washy perspective. You are straight ahead, kamikaze. You go, 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 go. Get whatever percentages you can. It is insulting to anybody who believed in you for you to blink. So the question, does Nicole Shanahan have low moral character? And I would say yes, but only by half, because she is selling out any volunteers that believed in RFK. But since she is by far the biggest donor to the campaign, I can't, in the same way I could say about Bill Weld, say that she has low moral character for the donors, because she is the one that is raising the most amount of money. It's really Sergey Brin's. It's Sergey Brin's money that she is spending on RFK Jr. Now, RFK quitting the race and endorsing Trump, that would be low moral character for me. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that you should raise that money and raise that volunteer stuff and then play the game of the big guys, the top two parties. Now, that being said, if you are not running, like I wouldn't, if RFK comes out and says, hey, look, I have high blood pressure and I'm going to die if I keep running, so I'm not going to run, then it's like, I can't really say that that's low moral character. If it's an entirely intellectual thing of like, hey, we need to stop the Harris Walls campaign by any means necessary, and I don't want to play a spoiler, then yeah, I think that is low moral character. The problem with RFK campaigning is the fact that they have the wrong Shanahan going. If they had Kyle, they'd have the offensive playbook coming. Also, hasn't shown the ability to win the big one. So maybe they got the right Shanahan. Oh my God. What lore is just being dropped in our chat? Spin Dash, you were a landlord. Spin Dash was a landlord. Dude, what lore? What lore? You shouldn't be ashamed of it. Stop it. Landlords are fine. Landlords are fine. Rewrite the lore books. Update the wikis. Spin Dash was a landlord. Any baby news? Well, my wife is doing Pilates in front of me. So, do we have any baby news?
She's kicking a little bit.
The baby is kicking. The baby is kicking.
She doesn't like core work.
She doesn't like being crunched in the core.
We're 39 weeks today.
As of today, we are 39 weeks. So we are in down the stretch we come. It is 2 weeks. When's our next appointment?
1 week, technically, is the due date. Or, well, I guess the 31st is
The 31st is the due date. What?
tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning is our next appointment, and it's with a real OB.
Yeah.
So I assume there will probably be a discussion about dates.
Induction.
Yeah. There will be an induction discussion tomorrow. Sources are saying that there might be induction discussion tomorrow.
No
But-
scans, though.
But we are at the point now where pretty much every time we go to the doctor, it could be the time. That is what we have heard. It's that every time you go in, could be the time. So that's part of the reason why I came back. Have the baby on Labor Day, very appropriate. Yeah.
No. Not on our wedding.
Yeah, baby on the anniversary would be hilarious. Well, our anniversary moves though. So it's always just the weekend of Dragon Con.
But then it would be baby birthday weekend for the next 18 years.
We would do another thing around it.
Fuck this honk.
I mean, no, we can look. We're the parents. We determine when things happen, right? Isn't that the point of being a parent?
We'll just lie to her when her birthday is.
Is Brian ready for the telethon? I don't know. I did not bring up the telethon with Brian yesterday as I came back. Who is taking care of the birds? Our across the street neighbor girl is going to be taking care of the birds
Being a teenager.
while we are gone. I did have a great conversation with Katie Stetch of the Katie Stetch Ferrick. I always forget that she actually has a married name. Of the Wall Street Journal. She covers Congress for the Wall Street Journal, and she is in Chicago covering the DNC. But we talked a lot about parenting stuff, and it was really, really fun. Did you know that doctors are more likely to recommend a C-section toward the end of a workday? We have a doula, which is basically a pregnancy coach for people who like funny names. And there's a lot of conversation. What I'm realizing more and more is that a lot of the conversation for like having a kind of pregnancy expert person with you, a little coach person, is also to run interference when logistics elements of a hospital or a doctor might conflict with the optimum patient care. Live show was great. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Awesome time. The podcast should be out tonight or tomorrow. Sound might be rough. I'm just going to give you a heads up. We had a really good run with live show sound. Thought we had it going on. Did not have it going on. So we're going to be doing our best. We'll be doing our best. But, my ChatGPT updated. Maybe I got the voice mode. Let's test to see if I got the voice mode. No. No voice mode. Can ChatGPT give us Mario smoking a blunt? By the way, since we're now just watching election betting odds, we are now back to tied. The odds are oddsening. I've not gotten off the Waymo wait list. What's the soonest the two parties revert to the mean? Is there any legislation that they can peddle to make a win on topics like the abortion and the border? I don't think that anybody is doing anything that has any specifics at all whatsoever. It's like the best we're getting are campaign proposals, which are always nonsense. But no, there's, and also we're into the silly season on that anyway. Like looking for specifics at this point of a race is a little wacky. You're mostly looking for directional feelings on stuff, and so yeah, I think what you can credibly see is that Donald Trump would be his first 4 terms plus in whatever the issues that they want to plus. And then Kamala is to the left of Biden. So wherever you thought Biden was, she's probably going to be to the left of it. And that's not even her 2019 shit. She has disavowed her 2019 shit. She is just in the stuff she has proposed. That's to the left of Biden. All right, I'm gonna freshen up my coffee, and I'll be right back. Let's go to a song. Oh, did people like the episode? I never really know how, like, now that we're like, I actually like was going to the Republican and the national conventions. Like, I think I got good feedback on people wanting to see how shit was like from the floor and from the C-SPAN skybox. Oh shit! Also, we got to make sure that we kick into C-SPAN. In fact, let's do that. Let's do a little Udio song. Yeah, the kind of bad audio. I mean, that is on the ground audio. Although I got a new mic for that. It was a Rode mic that had a little. I got a lot of shit for a Patreon episode in Milwaukee that had a lot of wind. And since I was going to the Windy City, I knew I needed a little floof. So all right. Pilot, Spinny, come on. I'm interceding here. Let's keep it to a dull roar. All right. Come on. Let's be friends. Oh, here we go. If I can get clear audio on a motorcycle going 145 miles an hour, you'll be fine. So Moto, that's actually an easier audio problem to solve than street noise, because at least it's consistent. You can take out things that are consistent. It's harder to do when there's a lot of different things happening. JDS, knock it off. Was I happy to see Barack and Michelle? I was not in the building to see Barack and Michelle. I left yesterday morning and spent time with my wife last night, so I did not catch the full speeches. All right. I will be back. Oh, hold on. There we go. Spin dash, it's fine. It's fine that you're a landlord. It's okay that you're a landlord. Landlording is fine. According to this chat, according to me, landlording is fine. Should we take calls? Yeah, we can take calls, but I'm only really going to be able to be on for another 20 minutes because I have to go to the doctor. The doctor. For me, not even for the baby. What was that audio? So that was, I didn't even listen to the C-SPAN one. Were there even any lyrics? No, does not sound like there were any lyrics. I wanted to do a thing about donating to C-SPAN. Let me actually, before we open up the phone lines, let me cspan.org/donate. C-SPAN. Oh, shit. Awesome. They are over their goal. Look at this. Much love from the PX3 Political Orphanage Congressional Dish. PX3 and C-SPAN rules. Grateful for unbiased coverage. PX3 and Congressional Dish are great. Howard Mortman is a steely-eyed missile man. All the Congressional Dish stuff. Oh, you love to see it. But yeah, we want to continue to give. C-SPAN is amazing. We're going to give $1.50. We're going to write a comment. C-SPAN is the only political media that matters. And then we'll take the pay stuff off here. And we're going to donate $1.50. But there we go. We are, we love C-SPAN. And here's the big thing. Not only is C-SPAN just an amazing product, it is, I think, a more important product maybe than it ever has been, considering so much media is analysis as opposed to first, reaction kind of stuff, or first source, raw materials. the fact that C-SPAN has remained exactly as they have for so long matters. It matters in terms of trustworthiness. And on top of that, they're amazing. They are the best. I was very, very excited to hang out with them at the RNC and the DNC. Yeah, it just rules. It sucks that C-SPAN needs donations. So C-SPAN was created by the boom of cable. And so they get money from cable companies. The problem is that nobody has cable anymore. And so they are figuring out what the future of C-SPAN is. I believe, and I've told them, that their brand is such that they could create a nominal product for which people would pay a monthly fee for. They could have a direct relationship with their audience. But that's up to them. They have a new CEO. He's a great dude. I've met him a few times. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so there we go. c-span.org/donate. Especially commercials on C-SPAN sound bad. Nobody would ever do commercials. I don't think anybody there would ever think about commercials. And by the way, we do not want it government funded, because if it's government funded, then it's going to fuck up the whole product. The whole product is that it is just a raw, unfiltered thing. And if the government starts paying for it, that means politicians can start fucking with it. How did I get into the C-SPAN skybox? Because Howard Mortman is the greatest mensch of all time. Howard Mortman runs an amazing Twitter. If you're not following his Twitter, you should. But he also does one of my favorite podcasts of all time, The Weekly, which is just a compilation of C-SPAN clips on like the nerdiest shit. But I go to Howard whenever I've got a political history question, because he is so dialed into it. That dude is like the maester of political history. All right. The gates are open. 510 404 8030. Call now. Hello, who is this?
It's Spin Dash.
Oh, look who it is. How you doing, Spinny?
I'm doing well. I'm all lived up after this awesome policy video and everything they put out. I'm really happy.
I thought you
Moving in
said
the
you
right
were. I
direction.
thought you said you were less libbed up after last night. What reduced your libbiness?
I mean, they're still talking about Trump in like a big bad, like scary threat to democracy, and we need to be focusing on moving in the right path.
Of offering things, offering a vision as opposed to just Orange Man bad.
Yes, offering solutions rather than we are the only thing standing between the end of democracy.
The end of to be totally honest, having been there, it's not even democracy. It's like all of it, everything, like life itself. Donald Trump will open up the seventh seal and the world will fall into it. It is definitely elevated. But the reason why they're doing it, Spin, is because if they come out and say, hey, we have this big progressive vision, then they're afraid that people won't vote for them because there's not a lot that everybody in that coalition agrees on except fuck Donald Trump.
I don't feel that way. I feel like there's a lot of things that the majority of Americans believe in and want. They want cheaper medicine. They want better health care. They want cheaper homes. And Kamala is doing a lot of things that are moving in that direction with progressive issues.
But they haven't. I mean, that's the other thing, is that it's like they are still in power now,
Yes.
right? And they have not. How would you rate their record through this 4 years?
Oh, it's horrible. Joe is a terrible person. He's genocide Joe. He is giving welfare to Israel when this money could be used for people at home. And Joe is literally a very, very bad person, and he will stop at nothing to continue the American imperialism across the world.
And Kamala is different how?
As Trump said, the VP really doesn't do anything. It doesn't matter. She has one role as to decide to split vote, and that's basically it. She doesn't have much to do with policy. She doesn't have much to do with anything else. The only reason Kamala was picked was because Joe said, I think black kids are as smart as white kids. 6 years ago?
No. Black kids, white kids are. It was poor kids. He basically equated black kids with poor kids. That was the quote. Anyway.
Yes, but that's the only reason Kamala is in this position, is that he needed somebody to get that vote.
Well, yeah, he said he was going to pick a woman, and it would likely be a woman of color, which basically narrowed the list down from anybody with a national profile. It narrowed it down to Kamala and Susan Rice.
Yeah.
So you believe that Kamala is materially a different politician than Joe Biden, and she is more to the left?
Picking Waltz definitely shows that. If she was more to the right or more to the center, she would have picked Shapiro. She would have picked somebody else who is in line with what's going on currently.
Yeah. I do wonder about the Shapiro thing. And I know the progressives hate him, but I wonder whether or not everything that has gone on over the last month would have still gone on, but they would have been up 10 in Pennsylvania. I wonder. I wonder about that.
There's so many other states now that are in play that I don't think Pennsylvania matters that much.
I would disagree. I still think Pennsylvania matters a lot. I think it matters. I still think that that Pennsylvania is a must-win state for either candidate.
I agree, but I think there's a lot more. Joe had one tiny path to victory, and now Kamala has many different paths to victory. Now that she's opening up her platform to people that care about the people in Gaza and care about social reform. Do you think
that's going to last, the Gaza thing? Because she has literally the exact same message as Joe Biden on that. She might be delivering it. She might be delivering it differently, but there is no meaningful daylight between Biden and Kamala in Gaza.
Didn't last night they said they were going to work for a ceasefire, and didn't the night before PBS say that Trump called Bibi and asked him not to do a ceasefire until after the election?
We can get into the PBS thing in a second, but it has been the Biden and the Biden-Harris State Department perspective that we are close to a ceasefire and Hamas needs to accept it. That's essentially been the line for months,
Hamas
right?
accept the ceasefire 2 months ago, and Bibi said no?
No. Here's spin. Regardless of where we stand on anything that's happening in the Mideast, there is a reality that these deals are. I think that the deal right now is fundamentally impossible. We can talk about it as long as the negotiations are direct between the IDF and Hamas, or the Israeli war cabinet and Hamas. You're not going to get a deal, because the actual deal points are, Sinwar, would you like to die now a martyr, or die later a coward? And he's already dead. So he's going to pick dying a martyr. Like,
I also think that Bibi's only way to keep in power is continuing this war. And as soon as he's out of power, he's going to get trials for war crimes. And the only way for him to stay alive and stay in power is not agreeing to a ceasefire.
yeah, I mean, again, it's like even the phrase ceasefire is kind of tricky, right? Because what Hamas considers a ceasefire, Israel does not consider a ceasefire. What Hamas considers a ceasefire is Israel leaves Gaza immediately, and then they get the hostages on the way out in a little doggy bag. Like,
more hostages have died from Israel attack than from Hamas. And that is a known fact. 40,000 people are dead from Israel killing people since October than any other.
Okay, before we get into that, let me just finish with the differences of what they see as a ceasefire.
Sure.
Like, Hamas sees it as you leave Gaza, Hamas survives, Hamas declares victory. Israel sees it as there will be an orderly stop to the war. You will release the hostages, at which point we will continue to try to kill you. And
yes.
There's a lot between that, right? So, like, from my perspective, in terms of looking at it from a State Department issue, if you really want the violence to stop, it should not be a direct negotiation between Hamas and Israel, because Hamas is never going to agree to something that would essentially be you're going to die, right? Why would they?
Yes, and Israel's stated goal is for the people of Palestine to not exist anymore. So any ceasefire is not going to be a lasting ceasefire until things fundamentally change on both sides.
So what is different then between Biden? If we understand that this is a gigantic morass, right? Whether or not everybody who listened to everything that I said or everything that's been said even agree with what we said. Let's agree to the idea that this shit is fucking tangled, right? And if we can't even agree on what the definition of ceasefire is, and that's hard. So then what is meaningfully different between Biden and Harris?
I think Harris will stop supporting with the guns that we're giving to them, with the supplies.
So you believe so you believe that she will be supportive of an arms embargo to Israel?
I think she would be supportive of limiting the number of weapons we send that kill innocent.
So that is not what she has said. That is something that you are taking on faith, right?
Yes, I am. I'm taking that we need to be moving into the right direction, and Joe's not moving in the right direction. He can only wave his finger and be secretly upset behind closed doors so many times before no one believes him or listens to him.
Okay. But that matters, right? And that, I think, is part of the smoothness of Kamala right now, is that you can look at her and say, I believe she is going in the right direction on this issue that I care a lot about, even though she has said the exact opposite. But
yes,
that is a belief.
Further left than Joe is. She still wants things that are better than Joe does. Even though this is very, very important with 40,000 people dying, it's not the only issue in the world, and I understand that. And she is also very good in other issues as well.
Well, thank you for calling in, man. It was good to hear your voice.
No problem. I'm happy to do it, and I just want to say that I hope things are moving in the better direction for everybody in the world, including the citizens of the United States.
Well, that's a good thought. That's a very good thought. All right, brother. Talk to you.
Later.
Bye. All right. We're going to have to keep calls short because I do have to blast on out of here in about 20 minutes. So go ahead and give us a call. 510-404-8030. Again, 510-404-8030. Mr. Marabar.
Jerry, how you doing, buddy?
What up?
It's all right. First question. And by the way, I'm on my morning walk right now. Sorry if I feel winded for anyone that hates sounds like that. You start super early today, and I was like, that's an early start for George. The episode that went out today. My only question: How long were you walking through Midway? Because I felt like you were just taking a stroll through the airport for that whole segment.
For the end, my end part.
Yeah. Because it felt like you were just. I've been in that airport. I feel like the walk's not that long.
Yeah,
Like, you were
I
just
did.
strolling.
Yeah, I did a loop. But I
Okay.
wasn't done with my point. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I would love to talk about that book I texted you about because I feel like everyone should read it the more I've gotten into it. Do you mind?
Remind me what you texted me.
The Secret Service book.
Please describe it because I don't think I paid much attention to what you texted me.
Fair enough. There is a book that came out in 21 called Zero Fan. And it is all about how the Secret Service is basically a frat boy fuck up agency and has been for decades. And I implore everyone to read this book. And upon reading this book, even just halfway through, which is I'm about 60% of the way through right now, you will never again believe in a conspiracy particularly related to what happened in July, right? Like it paints such a clear picture of, no, it is incompetence. Incompetence is why everything that's happened. Like it digs into the days after Kennedy. It digs into the days after Reagan. It digs into all of the shit that was going on during the Bill Clinton administration. Oh my God, when I just got up to Hookergate during the Obama years.
Yep.
Oh my God.
There was a lot of shit that came out. Yeah.
The Secret Service regularly is caught between a rock and a hard place, no pun intended for this, because both Kennedy and Bill did the same thing. Yeah, these people that are completely unvetted, just let them through.
Yeah.
Why? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, also, if you love Hill Dog juice, oh my God, the stuff they get into with Hillary during the Bill years, because I haven't even gotten to. No, I did. I got to the 08 campaign as well. All the Hillary stuff, she was so standoffish with her Secret Service detail.
Yeah.
And they really didn't like her. My point being, and I haven't even gotten up to the Trump years yet.
Yeah.
Like, it really cements home there was no conspiracy in July. It was just incompetence. And they've got it's an agency that never acts ahead of time. It's always reactionary.
Yeah.
They never have the budget, they never have the staff. It is apparently rated the worst place to work in the federal government. And this is like all the way back to like 2016 rated the worst place to work in the federal government.
It is the only one that expects you to take a bullet.
Yes.
So I would much rather work in the EPA personally because of just the lack of bullet taking.
There's also this whole thing about after 9/11. Also, oh, by the way, the stuff they dig into.
By the way, though, I mean, like your and while what you have described in that book is stuff that I've heard about the Secret Service for a long time. I would quibble with the idea that it will take away from the idea that there was a conspiracy in July, mostly because none of the conspiracies I've heard are that the Secret Service devised the plan. It's usually other agencies that would devise the plan, taking advantage of what they know to be a fuck up agency in the Secret Service.
I mean, fair. I'm just saying that for me, it really, I will use this book to point towards it was incompetence, not conspiracy. But that's on
the part of the Secret Service.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess all I would say is that I have not heard any aside from like there was a stand down order or something like that. That would be the closest I would see to a conspiracy. But even then, it's like, you know, you would have to recruit the shooter, and I don't think anybody would say that the Secret Service would recruit the shooter.
I recommend the book for you because there's so much stuff about various presidents, and I know you love that shit. I think you would love the book.
So what is it again?
And it's called Zero Fail. I'm literally don't have the name of the author in my head.
Yeah, no,
you
it's
go to
fine.
Amazon, search
Zero fail Secret Service. I'm sure people will find it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just so much juiciness. They apparently had no plan. So a private plane, a small private plane, crashed on the grounds of the White House or near the White House in the 80s.
Yep.
And after that happened, they never devised a plan for, hey, what if a plane's coming near DC? Should we do something about that? Nah, that won't happen again. Like, like if this is the agency we're talking about. I find this book fascinating, and I want to spread its gospel.
Well, there we go. Carol Lenning.
That's it.
Zero Fail: The Rise and Fall of the Secret Service. Available now.
You are talking about all baby stuff. I hope that things continue to run smoothly. Any big bold predictions for the Tim Walz and Kamala nights the next 2 days?
I expect Tim Walz to be very shticky. And I expect Kamala to be very Obama-y. I think that the crowd will eat it up. I think that crowd is dialed in. You know, I mean, again, my big vibe takeaway comparing the two crowds is that the Republican crowd was it was like a family that had been through a lot of fighting, but the dad had just suffered some kind of cataclysm, is going to be fine. And it made everybody realize, oh, we kind of love each other. And also they were winning at the time, and that glosses over a lot. And so it was just like a big ooey gooey love fest. This was more adrenaline focused. Like, as I said on PX3, the Democratic vibe was, imagine a family that like things were fucking not going great. The dad is the dad is about to lose his job. He's about to get fired. The mom's gotten hustled in a couple multi-level marketing schemes. The daughter's starting an OnlyFans and is talking to a very nice guy that she met on Instagram from Abu Dhabi. And the son just took out money from a loan shark to invest in Logan Paul crypto coin. And then the mom wins the Powerball. And so now nothing really matters, right? Everyone's really excited. The dad is now retiring. He's not getting fired. The daughter can vacation wherever she wants. The son's dumb investment doesn't really matter anymore because they can just pay it off. Like, does that make the mom great at money? No. By adding a bunch of money to a dysfunctional family, are you asking for more heartbreak later? Almost assuredly. But, does that matter for the next 70 days? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Go. Oh, wait, hold on. I had muted you because your road noise is really loud. But go ahead. Say it again.
Apologies.
No problem.
So we talk all the time about how the 2020 election was a close race and how this is going to be a close race.
Yes.
But when you dig into the actual numbers, Biden won that electoral college with over 300 votes. So
by what margin?
Would it still be close?
By what margin, dude? Like in each of these states, it was like 40,000 votes.
So we're saying that even though you win the states, it's still a close election because the states themselves are close.
Yes, that's how.
Okay.
That's how it works. Yeah.
So how is 2024 going to be closer or further from the 2020 margin?
I have no idea. I mean, 2016 and 2020 were very similar elections in that they were extraordinarily close. Like, and I expect this one to be as well.
Okay. All right, man. I'm out. Have a good one.
All right, dog. Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye. Okay. If somebody gets in and out on one more call, we're good. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up in 5 minutes so I can go get my ankle looked at. I banged my ankle when I was going to hang out with Andrew Heaton 2 weeks ago, and on a scooter. And then when I was on my way to Chicago, it was itchy. And so I itched it like an idiot. And then it kind of got into like a little bit of a red rash. And so now I'm going to the doctor. All right. One more call. Hello, who is this? Hello.
Hey, it's the Buck. I'll do this lightning round style.
Go.
Fuck the Jet.
Okay, there we go. Fuck the Jets. Fuck the Jets. And we're going to go out on that. Indeed, fuck the Jets. Fuck the Jets, but good. We'll be back tonight. We're live streaming the convention tonight on this channel, wherever you're watching. So I will see you guys a little bit later.